Hello all and welcome to the Practical Philosopher Show, and I am the Practical Philosopher. And today, as you see, we're starting out with a video. You can see the picture here. Wonderful ice jacket. Gotta love them. And we start off with this headline. Many undocumented immigrants recently rounded up by ICE agents had no criminal convictions. How scandalous. Doesn't it sound so scandalous? Immediately, they start out by pointing out a fact that they believe is so bizarre, so unusual. They want to emphasize for you that this is clearly wrong by stating that people who had no criminal records were rounded up and deported. They want to make it sound like such a scandal, such a horrible thing. The thing they seem to miss is this. These people are criminals. Now, it doesn't look so bad. Look at this guy here. He's sleeping, and this guy is sleeping, and this guy's taking up. They're all taking a nice little nap. I bet there's an onboard meal as well. What other country would deport illegal aliens that are invading their country to rob them? What other country would treat people so well that are clearly their enemies? Nobody. We are the best country in the world because we treat our enemies so well, or maybe the worst in that way. Because who treats their enemies as well as we do? Nobody. Nobody. So, let's read this biased liberal leftist story by a biased liberal leftist author. Roughly half. Oh, Washington Post, of course. Roughly half of the 675 immigrants arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in February had either no criminal convictions or had at most committed traffic violations, according to the data obtained by the Washington Post. I wonder what those traffic violations are. Could it be that they are defining DUIs as a traffic violation? Well, it turns out they do. Many of these people being deported for traffic violations were driving while drunk, which could kill somebody. But hey, that's not a serious crime. They're not really real criminals, are they? No. Of these people, 2 had been convicted of homicide. Well, what was Trump saying, huh? You know, the problem, by the way, in regards to how dangerous these people are, not addressing the economic issues, but talking simply about the criminal issues, the dangers are that if you let in a lot of people, sprinkled throughout them are going to be criminals. And these people are in the country illegally. And people have a reason to complain because some of them are criminals. There's no vetting going on in any sense of the word. Just speaking from a state security standpoint, this is a huge problem without even getting into the economic problems. 80 immigrants had been convicted of assault. That word assault is a very broad one. It can be from very minor to very serious offenses. 57 had been convicted for dangerous drug offenses. Almost 10%. Interesting. So, 80 assaults, 57 dangerous drug arrests, and 2 murderers. So, that's a lot. Let's go. 80, 57, 37, 39. Well, it's starting to be a large percentage of these people are criminals. 163 had been convicted of traffic offenses of these. Oh, what did I say? Oh, amazing. It's like I'm psychic. 90% were drunk drivers. Wow. 163 traffic violations, and of those, 90% were drunk driving. So, you do a little math, 163, a lot. So, about 150 of them, yeah, a little more than 150, no, not 150, so in the 140 range, yeah. But anyway, minus 16, 163, 150, 347 of them were driving drunk. Yeah. Driving drunk. 47, in the high 147 range. That's a lot. So 90% of these people who had been convicted of traffic offenses were drunk drivers. Of course, drunk drivers are no threat to anybody. They only hit people like little kids and old women and run them over and kill them. About 177 had no criminal convictions. However, 66 had charges pending, most which were, oh my God, also traffic related. Isn't it amazing? I find it amazing that these people, so many of them are drunks and drunk drivers, but they're a net good to our country. Yeah, okay. Many undocumented. So it doesn't even say half. So this word right here, many, is highly misleading. It's this number right here. 177 had no criminal convictions, but 66 had charges. Okay, so 66 had been arrested mostly for traffic violations. If you go by this number here, which is 166 of those on the plane, had been arrested for traffic violations, and 90% of them were for drunk driving, we can probably safely assume that 90% of these people were also drunk drivers, or somewhere in that range, of the 66 who had charges pending. So, roughly, yeah, quite a few of these people, the majority of them, of the 66 had charges pending. So that leaves what? Out of 177, about, not too many, 111 had no charges pending, no criminal convictions. I mean, what is that? Like 675? It's about 1/4, maybe 1/5, 1/4. It's not that many, really. And need we not forget that they are illegal aliens, which is itself a crime, so they are criminals automatically. Now the story goes on to try and make us feel even more sorry for these pathetic losers of humanity. From January to mid-March, the Trump administration was reported to have detained 21,362 immigrants for deportation proceedings. First, let me clap my hands and say, well done to Mr. Trump for keeping his word to get the crap out of our country. The amount of arrests were a 32% increase from last year, according to the Post. You mean liberal, leftist, Marxist, communist rag. And while the administration said most of them were criminals, 5,441 of them were found by the Post to not be criminals. What you mean by that is that many of them have charges pending, but that a small number of them had no charges pending and weren't criminals, except for the fact that they came into the country illegally, which is a felony if you do it in Mexico. Okay. I guess that the definition of criminal has been changed to you're only a criminal if you do something really serious, like mow somebody down with a car. All right, I see. Now, this is funny. That makes me so angry. I'm trying to imitate the voice of a leftist, Marxist, liberal nutjob, so I might be off a little with my imitation. That makes me so angry, said Kika Mados, spokesman for the Fair Immigration Reform Movement. What is, okay, I gotta stop right there. What the hell does fair immigration reform mean? Now, if you're on the right, you say, well, geez, fair is, they wait their turn like everybody else, and, if they go through the process correctly and they have the skills and the qualifications we need as a country, they'll get in. Of course, if you're left, it's more about whether or not you are alive and breathing. Well, you have a pulse, and you have 2 legs and 5 fingers, and you're a human being, so you should be allowed to come in and benefit from our bounty. That's what it means to the left. An organization advocating for immigration rights. What rights do you think you have? What? Let me stop right there. Since when do people who are not citizens of a particular country have the right to just walk in? If I look at every other country in the world, they got borders. I mean, maybe not the EU, but everybody else. I mean, Russia, China, any other country that cares about their borders, that cares about their citizens, that is an actual nation state, they give a damn about who comes in. They want you to be the best, the brightest. They don't want you displacing the workforce they already have in place. They don't want you disenfranchising their own people. They want people who are going to improve and enhance the quality of the work they do in that country and enhance the country itself. They don't want people who can't speak the language and have no interest in learning it. And even if you don't speak the language, you should be interested in learning it if you want to be a so-called immigrant, which is not what these people are. They're illegal alien invaders. And they have no rights because they're not citizens. Citizens of a country have rights in that country. Non-citizens do not have the rights that citizens do, and they certainly don't have the right to immigrate there. That's why we have borders. And I know that's why Fruit Loops like this lady want to get rid of borders, because she's a globalist and she wants there to be no borders anywhere. Yeah, you want to see how well that world works? I don't think you do. Meadows claims that the figures confirm our worst fears, which is that this administration is really trying to deport as many possible, regardless of whether they have a criminal record. Notice the long pause I just made there because I'm internally laughing my ass off. Now I'm going to laugh out loud. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Not what she said in far as factual sense, but that she thinks it's some kind of outrage and some kind of scandalous thing. I agree with her, and I think it's wonderful. Yeah, they're trying to deport as many people as possible. Of course! They're here illegally! They're illegal aliens, they're invaders, they have no papers whatsoever, they're getting Social Security cards on the black market, they're getting fake ID, they're getting jobs illegally, they're getting benefits that they shouldn't be getting. Yeah, we want to deport them. What's wrong with that? So really what she's saying is deporting illegal aliens is wrong. We should give them amnesty and just ignore that they're here and just let them keep coming in because, of course, it's a giant pie. It's a zero-sum game. Too many people here have too much of the pie and we need to redistribute it some. Yeah. The report comes during a worrisome era of undocumented immigrants. I do wish they would stop using that word, the media. They are illegal aliens who have faced the looming threat of deportation from the Trump administration's policies. What policies? He's enforcing this dandy laws. It's not his policies, you idiot, unless it's what you're saying is it's his policy to follow the letter of the law. And if that's what you're saying, then yeah, his policies are to blame. Gee, yeah, those pesky policies that were in place. Oh, you mean the laws that were in place before he became president? While he's deciding to enforce those laws, Obama ignored them so he could build up a huge voter base for the Democrats. The Obama administration's official line was that federal authorities would not prioritize the deportation of undocumented immigrants with no criminal history. Well, since they're illegal aliens, this undocumented migrants, the word illegal is not used because if you use the word illegal, it tells people that these people are breaking the law and are already criminals. So you cannot then follow it by this oxymoronic statement which says they have no criminal history when they are in fact criminals, so that's a criminal history right there. They've entered the country illegally. If they have been found and deported, they are criminals in our country. We've documented them as criminals. They're not documented immigrants. And this undocumented nonsense, it implies that they somehow have some kind of validity to have documents, or that they lost their documents or something. They never had any documents to lose. They're not undocumented. They are illegal. We are documenting them. We have documentation on them. We know who they are when we catch them because we talk to them, we interrogate them. They tell us who they are. We get their histories. And then we let them go, of course, under Obama and just wander around and not show up for their court appearance. Trump's not like that. He follows the law. So if you mean his policies by following the laws that are already on the books, then yeah, that's what he's doing. But that's his job! The only reason there's been this big shift that you all don't like is because Obama did not do his job. That's the difference. The Trump administration has said that Obama's policies and rhetoric stymied the department's efforts to ensure the safety of U.S. citizens. Yeah. I think their morale has suffered because of the job they were hired to do. And their sense, they're kind of hobbled by, or, you know, hands tied behind their back, that kind of thing. Homeland Security, John Kelly said, and now they feel more positive about things. I bet if you watch the morale issue, you'll be surprised going forward. He's talking about Homeland Security and Border Patrol agents. Yeah, their hands were tied behind their back. That's why the numbers went up 32% in 1 month. Because Trump untied their hands. So there's another truth that Trump spoke, and the Washington Post, without realizing it, let us know that he was telling the truth again. I'm sure that was inadvertent, of course, but because they would never ascribe a positive to Trump. As Secretary Kelly has made clear, ICE will no longer exempt classes or categories of removable aliens from potential enforcement. Yeah. He's not a leftist. He doesn't believe in classifying people into groups and collectives. He believes in approaching people as the minorities they are, and the biggest minority in the world is the individual. He believes in dealing with people as individuals, and all of these individuals combined have broken the law and entered the country illegally. And so you prioritize all of them. You don't just pick and choose, okay? It's not a Chinese menu in a restaurant. I'll take one from column A, one from column B. You don't get to prioritize. The war criminals, you evict all of them. As Secretary of Affairs made clear, no longer exempting anybody. They were all gone. ICE spokesman Jennifer Elysia said, all of those in violation of the immigration laws may be subject to immigration arrest. Duh, you think? Detention and, if found, removable by final order, removal from the United States. Now, this is the only thing I've never understood. Why do these people deserve some kind of hearing? I mean, this is part of the red tape in within the bureaucracy of the government that makes no sense to me. These people are not subject to the kind of, I mean, what due process do they deserve? American citizens are guaranteed due process under the law. And I understand if someone's visiting this country, is an alien, they are deserving of some due process if they break a crime, a trial, for example. Okay, but in this case, there's no question they broke the law. It's not like when somebody kills somebody and then, you know, they clean up the scene, bleach everything, they kill the DNA, get rid of the DNA, they take a shower, and then they, you know, burn their clothes, and then they, you know, hide the evidence, and, you know, you're going to try them and prove them guilty. I mean, these people are guilty. They're here. They're here. It's self-evident. Just deport them automatically. Don't give them a hearing. Don't just kick them out. I mean, this goes against due process. I think it goes against common sense. We've already got things are already expensive enough. I mean, can't you just say, oh, they're illegal, they're here, we have absolute proof, goodbye, or at least streamline the process. I mean, instead of trying these people on an individual basis, just herd about 1,000 of them into a courtroom. And, you know, the judge can look at all 1,000 of them and say, okay, I see you, which means you're here. You have no visas, so you're clearly here illegally. Goodbye. I mean, too much formality is involved in our system in certain situations. And while, yes, they do deserve some due process and some kind of hearing, why must it be so slow and arduous? Let's make it more streamlined. It can be done in a more expeditious way without having to take so much time and so much money. The left likes to group people together. Why don't we do that? They can't complain. You can just say to them, well, you people are like collectives, and you see all these people as one collective whole. They're all oppressed. They're all in need. So they all can go together. And we can judge them all together, too, because they're one collective, one whole. You're here, the 1,000 of you, that means you're breaking the law. You're all illegals. Goodbye. It would speed things up greatly, make things a lot quicker. But that's another subject for another time. And I am being, in part, just humorous. in that analogy. But regardless, I do think that our system is too bogged down with formalities and red tape and things that really don't need to be in place, that slow things down a great deal and just burden our system more than it needs to be. But for the subject at hand, for immigrating, that word again, and it's so ingrained into us by the media with its propaganda. If you come to America illegally, we get to kick you out. You don't have any rights to come here illegally. This story tries to make it out like these people deserve, are entitled to be in America, which is not true at all. Just because they have a pulse and are breathing and they come from a poor country doesn't mean they have the right to be here. And if you look at Mexico's immigration policies, if you are in Mexico illegally, they'll put you in prison for years. And of course the leftists will say, well, you know, they're a poor country. We can't go there because then we would be oppressing them more. There'd be one less job for Mexicans. No shit! And it's the same case in America. You think we have some kind of huge plenty that people can just come in and take from the system, and we should let them because we have more than we need. We have plenty because we don't do that. If we continue to do that, we won't have plenty anymore. We won't have enough. We're judicious with our resources. We don't just give them out and hand them out like candy at Halloween. For God's sake, that'd be like Christmas every day of the year, except every freaking person in the world, you got to get them a gift. People are not entitled to free stuff just because they're alive. And just because we're richer than Mexico doesn't, it's irrelevant to the argument. If they're allowed to come here unobstructed, we should be able to go there unobstructed. And if you're going to be a hypocrite and say no because Mexico's different, that's irrelevant. Borders are borders. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Leftists don't see that, but I hope those of you listening out there who are somewhat conservative do. This story is ridiculous, and it further goes to highlight the liberal bias in the media by trying to point this out as some kind of scandalous affair. I mean, look at these nice people. They're all sleeping. They're all taking a nap. Where in the world are you going to get free express flights back to your own country? It looks very comfortable. They have their own private jet. They all speak the same language. Talk about a wonderful situation. How much better than it could it get than that? I never had a free flight to anywhere. We're too nice, and it needs to stop. Period. And this is the first step. And I hope these flights keep going non-stop for the next 30 years, and then maybe we'll be rid of these people. I am the Practical Philosopher, and this is the Practical Philosopher Show. I'll see you next time. Take care.